Good evening, all. Welcome to the Resilient Living Podcast. I am Jared Wilson, joined by my friend Ryan Steva.
Hey, everybody.
All right. Well, everybody's rolling in. Okay, so I don't have a physical, tangible object. I've got to shout out to a new company that I'm working with. Okay,
So you brought a tell, but not a show.
It's that's it, exactly.
All right.
Okay, so Davidson's Firearms, right? I had heard of them, but I didn't know much about them. I've got connections with Chattanooga Shoot and Supply and Palmetto State and Bear Creek Arsenal. So the rep for Davidson's calls me up, and funnily enough, his name is Jared, spelt exactly the same. And his last name, he grew up, or his family is like from here. Like I knew his last name. I'm like, oh, dude, like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So he comes by, and so we get to talking, and I'm like, okay, well, what separates you? What's different about your company versus, any of the others, Lipsey's or whomever? He's like, well, the way we differentiate ourselves is we offer a lifetime warranty on every gun we sell, period, whether the manufacturer does or not. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's rad. Like, I can't imagine. He's like, yeah. So basically, if your gun fails, not you dropped it, but it fails, you get a hold of us, we'll get you out a new one in like 3 days. Like,
Wow.
not fix your gun, we will get you a new one. Like, dude. And I've got so many, like, the Mennonites in this area, and there's so many people here that, like, having a lifetime warranty is such a huge selling point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's go, let's do this. So he came in today. We finalized all of our paperwork and got everything set up. And so, yeah. So shout out to Davidson's Firearms, and we'll be dealing with them much more. I already got my first order in because somebody called in. It's like, hey, can you get me this 22 revolver? Like, I absolutely can. Text
Awesome.
Jared. I'm like, hey, bro, I know you
That's
just
a quick
left 20
turnaround.
minutes ago, but
Nice.
it was.
That looks good. Cool, man. Well, so today we're going to be talking about mental maps.
Right? Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah. I hadn't really put it in those terms before as mental maps. I'd, thought of various laws or principles, but I started looking into, like, what would you call them when you're looking at all these different things at once?
Sure.
And so I'd never really heard of it called mental maps before. Is that something you'd run into?
I'd not processes, I've not heard maps but it is, I mean, functionally the way that it operates, at least in my brain, it is a way of navigating through and these questions that can inform and direct and prevent us from going down bad logic, I guess.
Right. Yeah, it's how to think. We were just talking before the show how to, like, it'd be interesting to do a show on, like, logical fallacies.
Yeah.
But this is kind of the opposite side of that coin. It's kind of like how to think, certain ways of processing so that, when we run into something, it's like a shortened version. It's a shortcut to a greater understanding of something. So we can kind of shortcut that system once we understand these simple principles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's hundreds of them in reality, but I put together 10 of them that I use fairly consistently and have found to be extremely helpful in various ways.
Nice. All right. So why don't you walk us through? Oh, first, hey, make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all the things, get this out there to, people who might find this helpful, useful, or whatever. So what do you got?
All right. Well, so my first one was Chesterton's fence.
Who is Chesterton? Is that as in GK?
Yes, as in GK Chesterton.
That's hysterical.
So this is a principle that came from a short story that he had.
Cool.
And the short story goes that there's two men who they're walking a property and they come across this fence. And both of them go, and it's kind of a broken down fence. It's not real great. And the one man goes, well, this fence is in the way. We should tear it down. It's, dilapidated and whatnot. And the other man thinks for a minute and he goes, no, we shouldn't, because we don't know what it's here for.
Sure. The why. Why is it there?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the idea is, until you understand why a tradition is there, why a system is there, why a structure is there, don't just go messing with it.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we see a lot of cultures, like we live in a time of extreme flux. And there's a lot of, like metaphor and other things that have kept certain societies on the tracks, for a long time, a lot of traditions that we
Sure.
have followed. And when you start stepping away from those traditions, you have to understand why they were there before you do that, or you really run the risk of crippling yourself, causing harm. Look at all the health issues we're having because we've stepped away from traditional foods and traditional processing of foods and things like that. Um, so this is a principle where, I think a lot of times we step out and we look at something and go, I don't need that. You know,
Sure.
is the traditional family really needed? Can you have,
Right.
or whatever the thing is that society is now telling us, or maybe it's just something we're looking at in our yard going, why is that even there? Do I need this?
Sure.
So that's yeah, and in GK Chesterton's, like, the quote that came up from his book or his short story was, don't ever take a fence down until you know the reason why it was up, or why it was put up.
Sure. I
So
mean,
yeah.
from like we when we were talking about like you're above your place up on
Mhm.
the hillside, you've got like those stone gabions or whatever, or are they
There's some
swales?
off contour swales that, yeah, slightly off contour swales, but yeah.
Yeah. So if somebody's just hiking that, they see those like, well, that's stupid. I wonder, that's there's no reason for those to be there, not knowing that's driving the water down that feeds that spring down the end of the
Yep.
run. Like there, no, there's a reason, but you don't unless you understand water flow, unless you
Mhm.
understand that contour of the land and how that works, you wouldn't think of it. I
Right.
wouldn't have thought of it until you taught me about it.
Yeah, and, to that point, there's, actually a lot of properties that I'm helping people with. I'll end up finding that they have old, they call them check dams, they weren't really swales at the time, but or
Sure.
there's a few other names that they're called, but basically, it's the function of a swale, and they'll have them on their property, and somebody will have put a driveway right through it.
Oh, yeah, perfect place for a driveway. Mhm.
Yeah, without fail, because somebody will have divided the land and they're like, I need a driveway to my house. And
Right through
so
there.
bulldoze right through it. And sometimes they're subtle, so you don't even know they're there. But I can go on and look at LiDAR and I'm like, hey, any chance you're having erosion issues right here on your
Funny
driveway?
you should mention that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. And just about every single time they're like, yeah, what do you mean? How do you know?
How do you
It's
know,
like, well,
right?
because there's a swale dumping water right there that's collecting it from the entire hillside,
Sure.
and somebody dug through that swale. So yeah, that's Chesterton's fence in a nutshell. If you see something that doesn't necessarily make sense to you, and this seems to really hold up, especially with traditions
Sure.
and societal norms, when you start to look at them and go, why do we do this? A lot of times there's a reason, and it might not be obvious.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah. And honestly, it's never gonna okay, I can't say nevers, but I think rarely would it come back negatively to ask questions, to wonder why, to look into it, to figure out like, "Hey, that's an odd thing. I wonder why they," instead of, "Well, that's stupid."
Right. Exactly.
You don't
Yeah, and
gain
we're
any knowledge from saying that's stupid. Now
yeah.
granted, I say that's stupid a lot, but
Don't we all? I mean, sometimes things are stupid,
that's true.
and sometimes people just start doing things and there isn't a reason for it.
And that's probably a good yes, because it's usually when they're just starting to do something, they go, "Well, that's dumb."
Yeah.
Whereas if
Well,
it exists, it's like, I wonder why that exists.
right. Yeah, and I think, I don't know if we're gonna hit it too much in some of the principles we talk about today, but, that can be another principle, is like, just because we've always done it doesn't mean we should, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Um, a lot of times, somebody else, I forget the exact story, but basically it was you know, daughter asks mother, why do we do this way? And mother asks grandmother, and so on. And there's some actually pretty funny story that I can't recall at the moment. But basically, it goes back and back, and eventually, it's some ridiculous reason why somebody did it one way initially.
Right.
I think it was like, why do we cut cabbage this way when we? And it was, oh, because back in the Depression, all we had was a pot that was this large, and
That
we had
actually
to
is in
cut
my
the
family.
cabbage.
My dad grew up and they would always cut the tip off of the steak. Um,
Okay.
and it was because the cast iron skillet that grandma had was so small that it wouldn't fit the tip. And so they
Oh,
would
that's
cut it off
funny.
and put it over to the other side to cook. And
Yep.
so when my dad grew up, that he just cut the tip off, and my grandma's like, "Why'd you do that?" He's like, "Because you taught me. Why did you do it?" And she's like, "Oh, because my cast iron was so small that I couldn't fit it."
That's really funny. I'm
So,
probably amalgamating you telling me that story prior and this other one I'm thinking
but
of.
I
But
know
yeah,
that there's many, many stories along those same lines. It's just because, well, that's just the way we did it, and it's because of some odd reason that we do. I mean, in the automotive industry, the mechanics, shops, you always had those traditional. Oh, well, that's just where we put the oil, or that's what we do with that, or yeah. So no, I
yeah.
get that.
Yeah, and I think Elon Musk of not a big fan, but anyways, he had an interesting story about, this the crossing of wires between engineering.
Yeah,
And so, like, one there's like a fire suppressant side, and then a insulate like a thermal insulation side, and then a noise suppression side to his to the engineering, and they're all siloed kind of. And
right.
so he's asking these different departments, like, why is this one mat in the, it's a lot of extra cost, it's a lot of extra weight, it's difficult to install and repair.
Yeah,
Why is it here? And he asks one company or one division, and they're like, oh, that's the other division's thing that they added. And the other division's like, no, it isn't. That's somebody else's. And he
right.
just went round and round, and eventually he figured out, like, somebody had put it in as an experiment at some point, but it was completely unnecessary. And it just ended up getting left in because everybody assumed it was supposed to be.
Right. Sure.
So there's an opposite side to Chesterton's fence as well. Like,
Sure.
it's good to know why you're doing something. And sometimes there's not a good reason.
Right. Well, and that's the benefit of asking the question. That's, to Elon's credit, that's he asked the question, like, well, why are you, and
Right.
then going and finding out, like, haha, there isn't a good reason. Cool. Yank it out.
Well, there's that petulant 2-year-old why that
That's
we
true.
get annoyed about, right? But it's like, there's a reason they're doing that. Their brain
Yeah.
is trying to figure out what is the purpose in this thing that we're doing,
Hmm.
or why can't I do that thing, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Sure.
So, well, the next law that I wanted to talk about was Goodhart's law.
Okay.
Now I hadn't necessarily put a name to it prior, so
Oh,
it's just kind of a thought process I had used. So the idea is, when a measurement becomes the target, people often start optimizing for the measurement instead of the real goal, right?
yes. And
And
you use education, which is exactly where my brain went as soon as
yep,
I read that. I was like, oh, yes.
yep. So everybody can probably guess where we're going with this, but the easy, low hanging fruit here is No Child Left Behind,
Yep.
or whatever
Any of the
standardized
standardized
testing.
testing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because all you're doing is you're putting teachers and students in a place of
Teach to the
preparing
test.
for a test,
Yep.
right? And they could have no applicable, no application ability for the thing they're learning whatsoever,
But they can pass a test.
right? And so that's an absolute problem. But I don't know, can you think of any other examples of Goodhart's
Mm.
law?
I don't know. I got fixated on that one. I was like, yep, that's
Yeah.
it. Just
I think it works in any case. So, let's say I worked at Walmart as a teenager, and the cashiers had items per hour was like what they were graded on, basically.
okay.
So, anytime you can make a measure and then you give an incentive for that measure,
Right.
people will go towards that measure.
Sure.
And so, people were trying to get the highest number of items per hour, and I don't think there's any meaningful reward for it. But, so you'd have people there who actually took longer because they log out of their account and log back in
Oh no.
every time between scanning for people so that there's no like wasted time in between as
Sure.
far as what was logged. So it upped their numbers, but it made their lines take way longer to get through.
Right.
Uh,
Well, in like
so
okay, so in healthcare, we kind of saw see that continually
mhm,
in healthcare informatics. So like the idea was like, well, if we collect enough data, we'll figure out a useful way of deriving something out of this data. And
mhm,
so it was like, okay, we need to collect more and more and more. And now when you go to the doctor, I just had to take my daughter in, and the list of questions to go was insane. I'm like, most of these are non-applicable.
mhm.
Why are you asking at a pediatrician about all of these more mature issues? I'm like,
Yeah,
this is just because you can collect the data does not mean you need to collect the data.
right. And what is that data gonna be used for?
Yeah,
Right,
right. Like, oh, we'll figure out something like, but you don't need it in the first place, and you shouldn't be
right.
holding on to this. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And so I think we see that all over, right? It's there's another way of putting this in one sense um is show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome,
sure. Yeah,
right? Is just a different angle at it. And that's a really short phrasing. So I kind of like the show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcome.
right.
But it's the same idea where if you make if the target becomes you can if you can optimize for the target, you're going to do that rather than trying to hit the real goal. So
Right.
make sure your incentives are correct.
There was another quote from Elon. It was you said in optimize. It was it was like basically it was like the bane of engineering, like the optimization of an object that shouldn't exist in the first place.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that happens all the time. We're like, it exists, so therefore we must optimize it. Like,
W-
but it shouldn't exist.
Wasn't it Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that had like a quantum AI that optimized for making
For
paper
making,
clips or something?
yeah, something like that. Yeah, everything
Like
must be
destroy
used.
the entire universe to make paper clips as efficiently as possible because that's somehow what it got the idea was supposed to be done.
Yes,
Um, so yeah, if you create your incentives wrong, and this is great with parenting, if you have the wrong incentives, you'll get the wrong outcomes.
sure. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I think oftentimes we think, oh, we've got this kind of like moral idea of what that should look like. Like our kids should just do this because we're teaching them to be moral. But are you teaching them to be moral if you've got your incentives wrong?
Well, yeah, and like how you present that, like so, like with my kids, I often, and I don't even follow my own advice in this, so do better than I do. I'll tell them like, don't run away from something, run towards something.
Mhm.
Because, if you had a dog chasing you and you're focusing on the dog, you're gonna run into the tree, and then the
Right.
dog's gonna get you in the long run. If you have a destination in mind to run towards, and so in their endeavor to do better, if they're not it's like, "Hey, don't do that." That's not gonna be nearly as helpful as, "Well, instead of this, why don't we go this direction?"
Mhm.
Which is really
Or
truly the crux of repentance, right?
right.
That it is it's like, yes, turn, yeah, that's one thing, but then once you've turned, it's that continuous course correction of heading towards the goal.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, if I say I want to go towards Dallas and I hop on I-40 and I'm like, I'm going towards Dallas. I don't think does I-40 go it doesn't go to Dallas, does
No,
it?
it's just going
Okay.
one
It's like,
west
yeah, I'm going west, which is kind of approximately towards Dallas. And eventually I need
for a
to get
while,
on,
and then it's
yeah,
not.
for a while. Yeah. And so I need to know, be constantly aware of where I'm actually at. And when I hit that crossroad that I need to take a new direction, 40 is west from me, and that's kind of the direction of Dallas, and that's great. Or, maybe it's I need to get to Vegas, and it's like, well, Vegas is west.
That is
Um, yeah, I probably would take 40 part of the way there,
right.
but I-40. But at some point, I need to figure out where I need to exit and make my next turn. And yeah, absolutely. Knowing, um, knowing not just where not to go, because I know I probably shouldn't get on, local state highway 53 because that's
Right.
going to go the wrong way. But somebody telling me don't get on 53 isn't real helpful
Right.
when I
Yeah.
need directions.
I need to know where to go, not where not to go. Yeah. There's infinite incorrect answers.
Exactly. And you're just going to frustrate your kids or whoever you're working with if you keep telling them, nope, wrong, try again.
Yes,
Um,
exactly. Yes.
Now, having a discussion instead of just standing the answer and saying, well, what are some possible options and let's war game it. Great.
Yeah. And we might evaluate like, well, this is the way we have done it in the past. Let's talk about whether that needs to change or, whether that's going to work for this current paradigm. That's fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've hit that one hard enough. The next one, number 3, is second order effects. And we actually kind of touched on this already with Chesterton's fence
Yeah.
because you might see the first order effect, but you don't understand what the continued effects on that are.
Yeah. There's a fence in my way. I need to get through it or whatever, not understanding that there's a bull in the field. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And we've talked about yeah, not only is there a bull in the field, but like when you take that fence down, let's say it's going to go and impregnate cattle on the other ranch and it's not
Yeah.
the same kind of cattle, or and then you're going to have generational effects within your breeding stock because of that,
Sure.
or major losses in money. And so there's may not just be second order effects, but it might be third and fourth order effects.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I
um,
mean, the goats get into the orchard and, kill the very last remnant of that specific, species of pear or whatever.
right. Yeah, or an example from my property. So let's say I've got a whole bunch of glass, glass bottles, and that was
Okay.
before plastic came along. That was all you really had, right?
Right.
And out here in rural areas, you didn't really have anywhere to put your trash, so you
Right.
burned it, and glass doesn't really burn. So,
Right.
um, let's say for 100 years, I got rid of my glass got it out of my house, is out of my way. But the way that I did it was I threw it down in the spring at the bottom of my property. It's like,
Yes.
well, on the first order effect, you're like, it's out of my way, out of sight, out of mind, right? But the second and third and fourth order effects, which are, now my kids have to deal with it. Now it's broken and in another resource,
Right.
right? Now generations after me have to deal with this thing that I've created by dealing with the little problem that was in front of me.
Sure.
And so, you might, and the way I picture this is you look ahead and the first thing that's closest to you is going to look the biggest because it's the closest to you.
Yeah.
But if the thing you choose to do is really beneficial to that first order, but then then like, 5 or 6 orders after that, it's detrimental to, it'd be better to put the additional effort or money or whatever it is into the first and then allow it to play out in a way that's more beneficial later.
Sure. Sure.
So, got any examples, any thoughts on second order effects that you've run into? Maybe somebody doing, let's say, work on like a vehicle or something that you've come across.
Oh no. Oh yeah. Don't do your own electrical. Get somebody who knows what they're doing because the guy who comes after is going to hate you.
Right.
I can't tell you how many, especially whatever it is about the side by side market, they love to do
Mhm.
their own stuff. And I'm assuming that there was a lot of beer involved because
Right.
it's like you can
It's
follow,
okay to drink if it's a side by side, right?
right? You can, as you're following the wires, you can see how much alcohol has been consumed because it's like it starts out nice and neat. And then
Yeah.
as it goes through, it gets more and more chaotic until it's an absolute, like there's electrical tape holding everything together. Nothing is soldered or spliced. Correct. Like it's just chaos. And it's like,
Yeah.
I end up having to replace entire wiring harnesses because there was nothing salvageable.
Right. It's like,
It's like,
I fixed it. I made my brake light work. It's like,
yeah,
you did for a few minutes.
yeah, but your engine won't run and
Right.
nothing else will work. We
Yep.
just shunted all the power straight to the brake light. Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, I think the easiest way for people to understand this one, at least in our, kind of our realm, is, spraying for pests
Yeah,
or herbs. So herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, or even just chemical fertilizer. Like I can get a lot of corn to grow really fast and really big, and a lot of it,
sure could.
and but it has diminishing returns,
Right.
and eventually that land is going to be almost useless without restoration, um, and without the chemical inputs anymore. Nothing that I want is going to grow.
Yeah, I mean, it's like being on a ventilator. Like
Hmm.
your body after a certain amount of time, your body struggles to regain the ability to inhale and exhale by itself because it's just like, no, I don't have to. It does it for me.
Right.
And your land does the same thing as it's trying to breathe. It's like, well, I don't need to because it's doing it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You kill off the entire, like, okay. So with humans, if you kill off the microbiome of a human, the skin biome, the gut
Yeah.
biome, the various biomes that we have, if you actually succeed in killing them all off, and we're more biome than we are human
By bit.
cell count wise, right? By
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
Um, the human will die. We cannot live without our biome at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, um, so even if it's like what we would consider a bad biome,
Right.
a biome is absolutely necessary or our systems fail to
Yeah.
function.
Yeah, a bad biome is better than no biome at all. Yes. Yeah,
Right.
especially gut biome. They're just now figuring out how incredibly important the gut biome is to all systems within your body.
Right. Yeah, your nervous system doesn't work at all without it. Like
None of it, like,
you
yeah,
can't nothing communicates.
right.
Um, yeah. So, anyways, uh, antibiotics for humans, same thing. Think about
Right.
the second, third, fourth order event, effects.
Sure.
It's great to get over your sinus infection, but could we have done it a different way and not affected your entire biome
Right.
by doing an
Okay.
internal?
You said microbial stuff, right?
Yeah.
Antimicrobial stuff. There was, a huge push for this all antimicrobial everything. And then a whole bunch of septic tanks started failing all over the place because it was getting washed down with the water and killing the microbiome that digests in a septic tank.
Yeah.
And they all had to get pumps. Like, so we have secondary and tertiary, impacts of using antimicrobial soaps.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then you get your super bugs or,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
whatever.
MRSA,
Yeah.
C. diff, all of those were from, yeah. Oh, dude, those are
Yeah.
nasty.
I mean, there's people who I don't know if I totally agree with them. Maybe I do to an extent,
Okay.
but there's people who suggest that we would have been better off never having discovered antibiotics.
Oh, because of what we've created because of the antibiotics.
Yeah, and because the downstream effects generationally, the mother passes on her biome to the children.
Yeah.
And so, and all these other medical things that we've done, we don't understand how intertwined, the destruction of the microbiome, both skin, oral, gut, everything else. Like all these surfaces have this specific biome that should be well balanced.
Yeah.
And when it isn't, you'll start to actually have issues with childbirth, and then you'll need C sections, and then the children don't get certain biome that they're supposed to get, skin biome that they're supposed to get from the mother. And
Right.
it just has all these cascading things that we don't even necessarily associate with antibiotic use. And so,
Sure.
anyways, that's the whole idea of this, thinking about the secondary or second order, third order, fourth order
Well, and a
effects.
lot of medications are that way, where we just
Mhm.
wanted to target the specific symptom, and we don't care about that's just one, that's just a symptom, not the actual underlying issue.
Right.
Um, and then, oh yeah, that symptom's covered up, but now you have all these other secondary things. Okay,
Mhm.
well, we have medications to alleviate those. They come with
Yeah.
their own consequences that you have tertiary I was talking to my daughter about that last night
Yeah.
because she expressed an interest in getting into pharmacology. I'm like, okay, let's talk about pharmacology.
Yeah. Speaking of,
Yeah.
we'll see if we get her on or not. I think it's fine if I say this, but I was talking to Sherry Stickler last night, who
Nice.
is our local herbalist, awesome
Yes.
lady who
Yes.
I'm hoping to have on the podcast. So hopefully soon we'll have her on. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, pharmacology is such a crazy. Well, and when you really dig in and start looking into the
Who owns it?
yeah, and the genuine conspiracies, because we always get the, conspiracy theories are just
Yeah.
made up garbage, right? Genuine conspiracies, like people conspiring together
Yes.
to create this system. And the original pharmacology was, well, first of all, it was snake oil initially, and then essentially, and then,
Mhm.
Rockefeller came in with the Flexner report and then shut down basically any what we would now consider alternative medicine
Right.
by using, yeah. Anyways,
No, no,
yes.
no. Can't have that.
Right. You must use our petroleum byproducts.
Right. We gotta figure out something to do with this stuff.
The solution to pollution is dilution, right?
Delusion is
Put
it.
it in the people.
It.
Yeah, anyways.
Oh,
Yeah,
goodness.
you
Well, we
want to
got some.
spring
I
are
was
you
gonna say
familiar with our fourth principle here?
the Pareto principle. No,
Mhm.
you've mentioned it a couple times when we were talking, and you've used it. Oh yeah, the 80-20 rule. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people know it by the 80-20 rule, which is relatively simple. Basically, a small the most simple way to put it is a small portion of causes often produce the largest number of results.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
You can get most of the way there with not a whole lot of effort. It's that last little bit that costs a fortune and time and effort and money.
yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's worth getting to that 100%.
Sure, it's
Sometimes
definitely
it's
worth
not.
working towards it. But
Yeah,
yeah, sometimes it's not. It's like 80%. We are good.
that's right. I mean, like my chicken coop, right? And my
Sure.
chicken coop and run. It's like I could do the additional 20%. I could run like a permanent electric wire. I can run,
Right.
a hydrant right out to it. I could make it look prettier. I could put a bigger gate in, and all of those things would get me that last 20%. But do I need it? And realistically, no. The 1 or 2 weeks a year where I'm gonna run a ceramic heat element out there for them,
Right.
or something else just to get them by during the really cold nights.
Yeah.
Um, I An extension cord from the house is fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I was talking to a customer. We were talking about night sites and like the little fiber optic ones.
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, that's really cool for that one little window in the evening and the morning that allows you to have better visibility.
Right.
Absolutely. But then it's more fragile all of the rest of the time.
Mhm.
Is it worth that and the additional cost? Like, it's not usually. I mean, like, yes, there's going to be those rare instances where, oh, because I had that. Yeah, there's always going to be an outlier. There's always that doesn't
Right.
disprove it. The vast majority don't need it.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it's really easy to get caught up in the trying to solve all of those little nuanced possibilities. I'm very bad at about doing that myself. But 80%, you're fine. That's great.
Right. Yep. And so I think it's good to be aware of this principle, right? It's also good to realize that, like, sometimes we do need to get to that 100%, and or at least close, maybe 95%. And we kind of calculate that the time that it takes is going to be that 20% that gets 20% of the time, effort, and money that gets
Yes.
us to the 80%. And we
Yep.
don't calculate beyond that.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like, say, like with my pants. So I've got some proper pants on. They are not the best pants in the world. They aren't, but they they meet all of my criteria. They are durable. They have the extra wide belt loops. They have the stretchy panels on the sides. They're reinforced gusseting in the pockets at a price that's reasonable. So I am solidly 80%.
Yep.
Yes, there's some definitely ones I could spend $150 to $300 on a pair of pants. Why would I do that? Like,
Right.
that doesn't make sense. I can spend that money on something. I could have more guns, yay. Why would I get in my gun budget to have pants?
Yeah. Right. Oh, fun little story about the the fiber optic night sight.
Yeah.
Um, so when I was a kid, our garden got like just overrun by rabbits. We had like
Ooh,
an open garden,
okay.
and our dogs kept the deer away. So I decided to take it upon myself to make the problem the solution.
Okay.
But the rabbits, of course, would only be out like right at dusk
Yeah,
or
sure.
like right at dawn.
Sure.
And so one of those was perfect. And I harvested like 8 or 9 rabbits, and we ate them for dinner for a while. And yeah.
Nice.
And so
But yeah,
we
that is a
created,
perfect application for that
right.
particular yes. Agreed.
Yep. But you're right. It's a rarity where it's actually useful. It's just a really tiny sliver at a time.
Right.
So something I forgot on what was it? Second order effects is I love Wendell Berry's quotes. So I threw one of those in here. And so on second order effects, this is what he said. We have lived our lives by the assumption that what was good for us would be good for the world. And then he says, we've been wrong.
Ooh. Ooh. Ouch. We've been like that ends like hard. That's a gut punch. We've been wrong. Ow.
Yep. But man, I love the his ability to say something with so few words
Just
and make his point. Yeah, is incredible.
and yeah, I had a guy I was talking to in the shop, and we were talking about efficiency in that same light. I was like, yes, I understand being efficient is good, but we've really made it an unhealthy like endeavor. Like we
Right.
have to eke every last bit of everything out of everything, irregardless of the cost,
Mhm.
whether monetary or time or whatever resources. Um, no,
Yeah, because we should be looking at efficiency as the whole picture, not just one
that
narrow.
one, yeah, right,
And does that not get back to Goodhart's law?
yeah,
Like, if we're looking at something narrowly because we've made our target this one thing,
yep.
then we miss the bigger picture, or we miss the yeah,
The
true
forest for the trees,
understanding.
yeah.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So anyways, Pareto principle is the also sometimes known as the 80-20 rule. And
Mhm.
it's really good to keep in mind, one, for planning, because it's easy to assume that the 80% that's easy to get to, that's kind of what we tend to plan for. And the last 20%, we tend to uh, underestimate the amount of time, effort, money that it's going to take.
Right.
And sometimes that 80% is good enough, and we should just go that far. And sometimes we need to assume that it's going to be double or more than what we think it's going to be.
Unfortunately, yes, indeed.
So, principle number 5 is skin in the game.
Hmm.
And this one's pretty easy to understand.
It really is. Like it's one of those like if you've never spent the money on the thing, you really don't have an idea even of what it takes or what it requires or any of it. Like, and that's what a lot of the keyboard warriors that I encounter online like really have you done this? Have you like
Right.
you haven't? Oh, okay, then you can just shut up. I
Right.
don't care.
Yep. Yeah. The quote that I put in here was, the scars signal skin in the game. Right.
Yeah.
Like, you really don't have skin in the game until you're going to prove it, in that you're going to have battle scars from it.
Yep.
You're going to have experiences, and you shouldn't be in a position to make decisions for somebody else if that decision doesn't affect you in the same way it does them.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, no kidding. Shoot,
And
no.
did I not just explain our entire political system?
No. Mm. Yes.
So, anyways, I think people get that one pretty. That one's pretty intuitive,
Yeah.
but I think one of the things we don't do is because we want to be nice and we've kind of been taught to go along to get along, to follow all the rules, to, it's more important to follow the rules than to do what's right in a lot of cases. Like
Sure.
following the rules is doing what's right. And so we don't necessarily think of, like, an example is when I do workshops, I haven't had the right structure to charge people ahead of time,
Oh, okay.
but I need to. And the reason is if people haven't already prepaid, what I get is a flood of, "Oh, I can't make it today.
Oh, yes.
Sorry." I'm like,
Yes.
well, I budgeted for the
Yeah.
number of, right? And it's like, you have no skin in the game. That's why you can send a text the morning of saying, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
that's one of the reasons when I did the CPR class that
mhm,
I'm like, "No, we're gonna charge because exactly that, people need skin in the game." They
yep,
are much more likely to, and it's a mental thing, like, if I've spent money on something, like, "No, no, no, I've already invested in this, I'm gonna see it
mhm.
through." Which is a
Yeah,
good thing to really have that mindset of like, "No, no, no, I'm going to intentionally invest in this so that I can, mentally force myself to do the thing that I really wanted to do in the first place."
exactly. Well, and the other part of it is I feel that people learn a lot better
Sure. Yeah,
because
they
when
want
they've
to
got,
get value from it.
right. And so when there's not skin in the game, like, people will be sitting there bored, twiddling their thumbs,
Yeah.
because when I teach, it's almost always somewhat technical, as I'm sure people have figured out here. I'm talking about technical ideas and how those all tie together, and you kinda have to pay attention from one end to the other to tie all those
Yeah, you
pieces.
can't jump in the middle.
No. And so if we're talking about solar or swales or whatever else it is where I'm doing a class, I've set up it's essentially it's a classroom setting. And if you don't pay for it, you're going to be easily bored. But when you pay for it, something switches in your brain and you go, I need to pay attention to this because I just paid $50 to learn this. Right. And it's like, if I don't pay attention to this, I've just thrown away that money and the time. So yeah, skin in the game, we tend to be, I think we're taught as a society to kind of go along to get along, to follow authority, whatever that means. And so we tend to want to be nice and not upset anybody and not do anything that might get a little bit of pushback. And you get pushback when you start asking other people to actually have skin in the game.
You're right. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And the Pareto principle is interesting because it works in reverse when it comes to um, people doing meaningful or beneficial things.
Okay.
So in the church, uh, there's a saying, and I think it's roughly accurate that about 10% of the people do about on the volunteer side do
Mm,
about 90% of the work in the
absolutely.
church, right? You've got the sound guy who's like, like you, dedicated, who's there, who's like,
Yep.
I'm gonna get everything right, and I don't care if I'm being paid, right? And
Yep.
then you've got the person who's like, oh, I'll come on Easter maybe, right?
Right.
And yeah, as soon as there's any work to be done, they're out the door
Poof.
before it can be, yeah. And that's 90% of people, where the 10% of people do most of the actual work. Now,
Yeah.
I think that speaks to a incentive issue, that we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
but, and how we've structured things. But at the same time, that's the Pareto principle is interesting because you can see it working the other way around in certain circumstances as well.
Sure. Yep. I definitely see that.
So this next
Yeah.
one, number 6, have you heard of
Mike
this one
Mike says,
before? Oh,
like the saying goes, you get out what you put in. And
yeah.
yeah, that's that is the truth.
I should probably have my comments up. I haven't even been looking. Do we have any other interesting comments or
Yeah,
questions you've
Rocky's
seen?
chimed in a couple of times. Pack Rat's in there.
Awesome. Welcome, guys. Sorry, I've
Yeah.
been
We've been
blabbering and
jamming.
haven't even looked.
I didn't either. I was like, oh yeah, messages. Shoot. The
Yep.
map is not the territory. So we're I was watching we were watching Doctor Who, last night with the kids, and the comment the doctor makes at one point that the footprint isn't the boot. And when I
Okay.
saw that, I'm like, hey, that's that.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like
you can see the evidence of the thing, but that doesn't in any way really shape in your mind what the thing is. It's not the same.
yeah, and how many things in life do we go based off of what is essentially a map?
Hmm.
We're looking at, you know, we have to essentially take atomic structure on principle, right? We can
Because
a
there's
lot of
no
what we
analogous anything that's really that we can understand what it actually functionally is.
right, and I mean, yes, with electron microscopy, we can kind of see the outline of an atom,
Yeah,
basically,
right.
but a lot of what we're going on with what atomic particles and subatomic particles are
Yeah.
is like something that's missing or like what we
Well, it's an
can't
errant
see
test
or
result or something like,
right.
okay, well, why in the world would it do that? Well, it must have something like this, maybe. And
Hmm.
we run tests and we go, yeah, okay, that holds up until a test comes up that it doesn't hold
Yeah,
up. I'm like, okay, back to the drawing boards.
right.
Let's evaluate.
So far it's unfalsifiable,
Right.
but
And that is the correct scientific mindset of
mhm,
has yet to be disproven.
right. And we're still trying.
We're still trying. Then when that literally is it, we are
Mhm.
trying to disprove it.
Yeah, I mean that should be all science should essentially follow. I'm going to put forth a hypothesis and then I'm going to try to break my
Yep.
hypothesis and
Any
I'm
way,
going
shape,
to
and
put it
form.
out to others to see if they can break it,
Yeah.
right? And instead, it's now I'm going to put forth a hypothesis, call it a theory, and then defend it to no end because I'll look like an idiot if it's wrong.
Right. Right.
So, yeah. Anyways, map is the number six is the map is not the territory. And so the basic idea here is a map gives you an understanding of what the territory might be,
Right.
but a map is not going to show you. Like today I went out with my kids and we walked through. The neighbor said we could go up through their 20 acres that nobody's been to in like 15 years,
Nice.
and so we started walking up there and pulling out. Evelyn got some what do you call it, it's sorrel, forest sorrel
Okay.
or wood sorrel it's called. And it's this really tasty, like lemony interesting thing. And
Oh,
so, does that show up on the map? No.
no.
Does every single outcropping show up on the map exactly? No. Is that tree there? No. Um, the map, and that's where we get really confused. I think a lot of people see science and they're like, "Oh, we know what the atom is. We know what an electron is." And it's like, "Do you?"
No.
And we do that. I think so often we're so confident in in what it is that we think we're looking at or we think we've been told or we think we understand, whether that's just understanding another person or whether that's understanding something scientifically or anywhere in between.
Sure.
um, a lot of the pushback I get from people about, I was talking to somebody not this last weekend, the weekend before at a festival, and he's got a soil science degree. And
Oh,
he's like, you can't grow clover underneath, underneath elderberries, because if you grow clover underneath elderberries, you'll have green light refracted back up to or reflected back up to the elderberries or whatever the overstory thing is, and
okay.
plants are stunted by green light because green light is basically what's left after the other plants have. It's like, well, there's still the vast majority of light hitting it from the
Yeah.
top. You might get a slight increase by brown light or kind of orangish brown light bouncing back up off of
Right.
wood chips or soil, but the difference is negligible. And
Right.
he's like, but you can't plant cover crops in this. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah, sure.
that's what you learned in school. So that's right. And the map is not the territory. There's a subtlety here, right? It's
Right.
like, yeah, you're not wrong. I'm sure there's some measurable difference if you make a green underneath your plants that you're trying to grow.
Yeah.
But
Well,
what are the other trade-offs that you're giving up?
what was the adage that, the Colosseum's full of engineers and mathematicians, and they said, if you and a woman were 6 feet apart and you divide it in half and divide it in half, the all the mathematicians like, oh, I would just give up because I'll never get there. It never reaches zero. But the engineer's like, yeah, but I can get close enough for practical purposes.
Right. Yep, exactly. Um, man, there's another principle that's really interesting. No, it's not Gresham's law. There's another law that basically goes, um, the more, and I wanted to include it, but I didn't want to do like all the really best ones because I wanted to maybe do this again
Does it
with
again?
some good
Yeah.
ones. And I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's this law that basically says, um, the more confident you are,
Mm.
likely the less you know.
Oh, yes, right. Yeah. Um, oh shoot. I can't think of it either.
One of us has to like look it up
I
now,
know,
right?
right? This is driving me crazy. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's really hard because yeah, that at the there's usually they draw it with a curve, like where enough that you think you know everything, and then it drops into the valley of despair or whatever they called it. And then that's
Is
where you
it?
get to um I know that I know nothing, basically, is that
Mhm.
that it's like when I know enough about any particular subject, I realize how little I truly know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of the having that Descartes crisis, the
Yeah.
Cartesian crisis, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Of of I know nothing except I think therefore I am. And I don't necessarily agree with Descartes on everything, but
No.
it's still interesting to get to that point where you've become so knowledgeable that you're actually realizing how unknowledgeable and how what the tiny fraction of the things even the things you think you know and can quantify
Yeah.
are potentially completely unquantifiable once you understand that the totality of the universe and that there's so many things that are so unquantifiable that are
Right.
required to quantify the thing you thought you quantified.
Right.
Um,
Oh,
so
yeah. Well, I remember when I was going through to school for sound engineering, um, the instructor, he made this funny point. It's like, when you first start out in sound engineering, you make things sound good. Like you do whatever it takes. You're like, oh, well, I'll just position this mic here and I'll EQ it like this and until it sounds good. And then you learn more, and then you're like, oh, well, you need to have this notch filter, and you need to have this microphone, and oh, you don't have a Neumann, like, and then you get this real pretentious, and then you get to the pro level, and they're like, yeah, I just mix it until it sounds good. It comes
right.
full circle.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, because there's rules you can kind of go by to get close,
Yeah.
and then you start to learn, and life is really more about like it's not so much about exact like go cook something, and you can follow a recipe and make something pretty decent,
Yeah.
or you can stop following the recipes and make some really terrible things that you end up throwing away or giving to the dog or chickens or whatever, and make
Right.
some really awesome things that you never expected to because you've actually learned something about it.
Yeah.
So,
You know how things interact. You're like, well, yeah, like when I'm baking, I'm bad about I don't follow recipes. Like
yeah,
like
me
it's like
either.
it needs this, and like and I'll taste it. I'm like, no, because it's got that in the front and it's got this at the back. I need something in the middle. Like, okay, I'm gonna grab some of this and like do a little bit of that, and I don't know, some of this. I'll give it to Meg, and she's just like, "That's really good. What'd you put in there?" I go, I have no idea.
I know the items, I don't know the amounts.
Right? Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So Dunning-Kruger effect was the one I was trying to think of.
Yep,
Yep.
that's the one.
Yep. So, um, a bonus number 11 for
There you
those
go.
listening is Dunning-Kruger effect, and maybe we'll talk about that some other day a
That
little
could be a
bit
whole
more.
podcast in and of itself.
Oh yeah, man, it's interesting, and there's all kinds of great graphs on the Dunning-Kruger effect, and memes and things.
Oh yes.
Really fun.
Oh yes.
Um, so I'd look that up. All right, number 7, feedback loops.
Yeah.
We've kind of talked about this before in designing systems.
Yeah. I mean, yes, definitely. Anytime we have a feed, any kind of feedback where you can self monitor and fulfill something, it's like, heck yes. But then yeah, you've got it from the negative also, which
Mhm.
is really good.
Yeah. So let me kind of read what I put here, which was positive feedback affirms change. So you get a positive feedback, it'll affirm that the change was useful, while negative feedback stabilizes or corrects the system. So as you get negative feedback, you can start to stabilize that system and go, okay, this thing's working, this thing's not.
Hmm.
Whereas positive feedback, it gives that, it amplifies the change, and so there's a couple of different ways of looking at a feedback loop, both from the positive perspective as well as from the negative perspective. Another way to put this, and this was Donnell Meadows. I think I'm saying that name correctly, but the quote there was, a negative feedback loop is self-correcting. So if you've got a loop that keeps that is a negative feedback, it self-corrects, which is really, really helpful. Whereas a positive feedback loop is self-reinforcing. And so you can build your feedback loops and look at them and understand them in such a way that you can move towards something that's self-reinforcing or self-correcting, depending on what you need. And obviously we don't want to get too far on either end, or
Right.
self-correcting, it becomes useless because it's everything's wrong,
Yeah.
right? And you
Right.
can't do anything because it's not perfect. Whereas on the other side, it's kind of like having that yes man who tells you that's a great idea.
AI.
Yeah, thanks,
Chat
Chat
GPT.
GPT.
That's brilliant.
Somebody did one. I'm going to try to use more family friendly
I know where you're
language
going
than
with
they
this.
did. But he did an entire bit on talking with ChatGPT about a business idea of poop on a stick.
Yep. That's
ChatGPT
brilliant.
is like, yeah, that's a great idea. You should. That's really edgy. People will love it.
Oh gosh. Well, okay. So like even from like a practical application, I was thinking about like you're talking about feedback and the especially the positive amplifying change versus the negative stabilizing and correcting. Like sailing. Like if you're
Mhm.
tacking into the wind, as you're going, like you're gonna pick up speed. It's a good thing. It's a positive. But then when it gets too much, you'll lean in, you'll list in, and it will reduce your cross section of your sail and will self stabilize. It will lower your speed back down
Mhm.
to where you can actually manage it. Rivers, we see the same thing as speed increases, you see higher erosion on the outside edge of the corner, increases the corner's turn rate, which reduces the velocity of the water, slowing it down, self correcting. It's
Yep.
it's a natural system.
Yeah. No, you're right. Erosion is in the case of a river where it's creating a larger bend,
Yeah.
is a negative feedback loop, right? It's creating that resistance and slowing it down. So yeah, those are great examples. I like those. Um, all right, Jared, have you ever heard of Posywid?
I had not. I was trying to figure out how you were gonna pronounce it. It's like Posiwid,
uh,
Poswid? I don't know.
yeah, POSIWID, which stands for the purpose of the system is what it does. So, uh,
It
have you
exists to
come across
exist.
this? Yeah, have you come across this idea before?
Bureaucrats?
Well, that's kind of, yes. We can go down that road if you want. Um, but the idea is that rather than a system like we that's some thunder.
Is that what that was? Dang, dude.
Yeah, yeah, thunder on my end. Um, Rather than a system like, well, okay, yeah, let's go down the political rabbit hole here for a minute without getting on one side or the other. When the system is supposed to do something, or we're told this is
Yeah.
how it works, this is what it's supposed to do, but it consistently does something else, then the purpose of the system is not the thing we're being told it is.
Yeah, it is what it actually does, not what
Right.
it was supposed to accomplish or you're told it's going to accomplish.
Right. And
Agreed.
people get this confused with the the intention of the system is what the system does. That's not the wording here. It's the purpose of the system is what the system does. So whatever that output of the system is its purpose.
Yeah, it is actually doing exactly what it's designed to do, Now that
Mhm.
can be changed or that could be wrong, but
Right.
it is doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it was necessarily intentional,
Yeah.
but and what happens is you get the iron law of bureaucracy anytime you get any type of system. And so as soon as you start something that whether it's a business, a government, a church, whatever,
Right.
um, once that system is in place, whatever it produces is what its purpose is. And with the iron law of bureaucracy, that system or organization will exist for the purpose of the organization rather than for people or for whatever it claims to be doing.
Sure. Sure.
It's whatever it does is what its actual purpose is. So, like Red Cross's purpose is to make some CEOs very, very wealthy and give them private jets.
Mission accomplished.
Right. Its purpose is not helping people in disaster zones because it doesn't do that.
No.
Um,
Been there,
so
done that. They didn't.
no. So the purpose of the system is what it does, and understanding that, and again, it's not the intention of this system is what it does. It helps you remove yourself from what's considered the intention of the system and going, well, what does it do?
Yeah.
And so before
What's
I
it
dedicate
actually
my
accomplishing?
right. So before I dedicate my time, my money, my thoughts, my effort in any way whatsoever, I'm going to look at Posywid. What does the system actually do? Not what am I told it's supposed to do, or what is its mission statement? It's
Yeah, that's just
what does it
PR.
do? Yeah, exactly.
Do not fall victim to the PR.
Yep. So Stafford Beer was the one who person who came up with this concept, and I believe he was a communist of some variety. So I wouldn't go down his political beliefs or follow him for that purpose, but he was a
Okay.
brilliant person
So
in another sense.
broken clocks right twice a day. So
Right. Well, I mean, he was recognizing, he was seeing what capitalism and in a lot of cases what communism was doing, and he was talking about it. He was saying,
Oh, okay.
if this is what the outcome is, that's what the purpose is. And so I think he even spoke against certain communist regimes, even though he still thought, we didn't try communism the right way or
Right.
something like that. But he said, no point in claiming that the purpose of a system is to do what it constantly fails to do. So again,
Yeah.
Posywid, the purpose of the system is what it does. Just something to keep in mind as we're processing through and looking at something. Don't look at the mission statement, look at the actual results.
Yeah. Where are they actually spending money? What are they actually accomplishing? Mhm.
Yep. So number 9 on mental maps is leverage points.
Ooh, I like that.
So the idea here is a small shift in one thing can produce big changes in everything.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Oh, I shared a TikTok. I want to say that was this morning or yesterday. It was a guy. It was like small, consistent, whatevers will result in much bigger change than occasional big effort ever
right.
will produce. I was like, dude,
Mhm.
that's awesome. Yes, yes. Small consistency is way, way more powerful than occasional, large whatever.
Yeah. Well, and so one of my fun examples of this is literal leverage. So I had some friends who were trying to put in a garden, and um, they were using they had big trucks, very nice big trucks,
Yes.
and we were using logs as the perimeter as well as to put in
Oh,
some terraces.
okay, cool.
And they had this big pile of kind of tangled logs. And so they're using their trucks and some chains and ropes and things to pull
Oh,
these things
drag
out.
them out. Yeah.
As digging up the yard, and it wasn't getting them where they needed them. And I'm like, let's just use leverage. Like,
Yes.
how? Because
Let's go back to third grade.
yeah,
What
well,
are our simple
I mean,
machines?
these were people who were awesome at what they do, but they like it's just like so many of us, and those often trying to get into homesteading and things, you know, a lot of people don't grow up interacting with the physical world.
Sure. Yeah.
And so just even how you use your muscles or how you approach something, you know, our second story or the side story, I worked with this guy who had, you know, big, pretty muscles. He
Okay.
was, you know,
Yeah.
gym rat,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we were working out in the field and, you know, we're digging a hole and he's got this hole right next to another. And he's like a quarter of the way done and I'm all the way done. And the guy next to me is like, you know, some short, like, I don't know, what is trying to think of the Lord of the Rings characters that are short and beards.
Dwarfs.
Anyways, dwarf. Yeah. He's like,
Okay.
you know, like that kind of,
Little stocky guy.
yeah, little stocky guy. And he's got like 2 holes done.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And so this gym rat guy who's got big, pretty muscles,
Yep.
it doesn't know how to push a shovel into the ground the right way and pry it out.
Yeah. Sure.
Anyways, it's so many people just don't have those skill sets. So anyways, these friends who I was helping with their garden, I was like, let's use leverage. And so what we did is I was like, okay, so first of all, we need to use a leverage point to push the log up just a little bit.
Yep.
So then we can get a fulcrum underneath it, you know, a point. And then we can balance that and we can turn the log the way we need it. And then we can just roll the log into place. And it took so much less effort and so much less time
Yes.
than using a big old truck to drag it around. And it was just, I don't know, it's leverage points. There's so many things that that's the perfect analogy for, you know, making the things that we need to happen by just making a small change somewhere and thinking about how we're going to do it to make that bigger thing happen.
Oh yeah. Well, and we see the same thing in business. Like in my last business, the biomed firm, we pivoted, right? And
Mhm.
which is exactly that. It's like we literally were like, okay, we are here. We can use our exact same infrastructure, our same skill set, and we can just eat. And now we're
Mhm.
here, and we're able to service this entire other sub industry that wasn't being taken care of, and we're completely capable of doing it. And it was
Yeah.
really easy for us because we just literally had to just shift gears just ever so slightly, and we were there. We were ready to go.
Yeah. Have you ever seen vacuum cannons?
No.
They're very interesting. So you basically on the end of a cannon,
Yeah.
you can put a seal on the end of it that can
Okay.
break as a projectile goes through it.
Okay.
And you can create a vacuum inside the cannon. And so when you release the vacuum, when you allow air behind the projectile,
Uh-huh.
that
It
vacuum is what pushes the projectile out.
it actually
Right.
sucks it forward.
Yes, exactly. And so you can combine that with, say, air pressure, intentional air pressure behind it,
Sure.
and put those 2 systems together. And there's people who can get, you know, like a ping pong ball going supersonic speeds,
Oh, geez.
right? Yeah. And so it's a really cool idea. But if we're looking for, you know, thinking of leverage points or that
Yeah.
vacuum, we're looking for the void. We're looking for where the vacuum isn't filled,
Sure.
and we can step in and have this really accelerated growth or accelerated ability because the void's not filled. And for, you know, what's right behind me, right? The Homestead Consultant, I chose a name that said exactly what I do, and I do exactly what I say. And that fills a void because I literally have people calling me from all over the country going, I need somebody who consults on homesteading.
Right.
Right. And you
Gotcha.
came up, whether, you know, in my search, and it's all I could find. And it's like there was a big vacuum,
Sure.
and there still is. And that's why I work with other guys who do the same thing. I'm like, there's more than enough work. We need to
Mm.
help people out. How do we
Mhm.
do that together? So anyways, the idea of leverage points, another way to think of it is filling the vacuum, you know, pivoting as you put it. Um, but seeing those opportunities and realizing that we can do a lot with a little.
Yeah.
Seeing
Oh, yeah.
potential energy, right?
Mhm.
A rock
That's
at the top of the hill has a lot more energy than a rock at the bottom of the hill.
right. Well, that's why I talk to my son often because he's getting to that age where he's like he wants to have his lemonade stand or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm like, look around to the world around you. What is it that people don't want to do? Do
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
Do it. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're willing to do what they don't want to do, you'll get paid. You will.
Mhm. Yeah, the amount of money I've heard of people making by creating dog poop cleanup services.
Right. Yeah. Something is, it's like, it's just whatever people don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to risk their health. So they don't want to do, hard labor jobs. They don't want to
Mhm.
risk their money. So they don't want to, build businesses. They don't want to risk, like, there's risk involved. And so if you're willing to risk those things, there's money to be made.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And oftentimes the more creative, the more useful.
Yeah.
Um, so we talked about poop on a stick as a business idea.
Right.
A very funny YouTube video, if you ever want to look it up, is there's a lady who does moose turd items, and so she makes items she sells out of moose turds, and she's got this hilarious, extremely deep Maine accent,
Okay.
and so she's got her biggest selling item, which she apparently makes quite a bit of money on, is the moose turd clock. And at every half hour increment, there's a turd. So 2:30,
Oh god.
3:30. So maybe poop on a stick isn't the worst idea if you figure out how to
Oh,
sell it. But
oh my gosh. Hey, you gotta find that market.
yeah,
You
I
own it.
mean, if you can make people laugh,
Yeah.
if you can give people information, if you can provide a good or a service that they can't easily get elsewhere or that they don't
Right.
want to do, you really can. Um, you can use those as leverage points to build something that becomes something more over time as you work on it and as you narrow it down.
Oh yeah. Well, also, I had Mike was in the shop and he was talking about making like these little figurines, and he's like I can customize them. So like if you had a specific character, or you're like Dungeons and Dragons, it's like if you had a specific character, he's like we can go through and we can pick out exactly what facial hair they're going to have, what hats and ears and everything. He's like, and I can 3D print your specific, little figurine just
Mhm.
for you. I'm like, dude, that, like, can you imagine going to a comic book store and having a guy set up there and going, hey, give me 10 minutes and I'll make you your own, like, while you go peruse, like,
Yeah.
come back in 10 minutes and it'll be ready for you.
Yeah. And $20,
Exactly. I'm like,
who cares?
dude,
Like, yeah,
freaking awesome.
yeah, absolutely. You pay for your 3D printer pretty quick that way.
Yeah.
Michael says, I told the new guy at work, working with you is like working by myself, only harder. That's true.
I feel that one so very deeply.
All right, man.
Uh,
Number 10.
yeah.
Have you ever heard
Good
of
old
this one?
Occam's razor.
Yeah.
Love it.
Do you want to explain Occam's razor?
So, um, the simplest solution is usually the right one. I mean,
Yep.
it's one of those cut and dried, but like it's one of those stupid simple ones that we kind of overlook. We're like, no, it's got to be complicated. We got to come
Yeah.
up with the complicated solution or the complicated reason or it's like no, it's usually the simple stupid one. It's
Yep.
not usually.
Well, the caveat to that is it's the simplest explanation that fits the facts.
Well, and that is an important distinction because it's really easy to overlook facts or add additional information that's unsupported
Mhm.
and in order to justify a conclusion. So yes, yeah, and having being honest in our approach to how we gather those facts and then how we evaluate those facts and then apply that to the solution using Occam's razor, like, no, this is probably this, and the scientific method. We're trying to disprove our conclusion. So we go through and
Right.
evaluate and try to disprove these things, like, well, but this, so it shouldn't be that. Oh,
Mhm.
but it is. And so, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're looking for the simplest solution that still fits the facts, and being willing to, as facts come in, if we can verify them, change our mind
Yeah.
and change our opinion, at least until more facts maybe come in. Um, and I think leaving that open is really important, because we tend to go, here's the facts, here's the way I can explain it, and all
Done. Walk
done.
away.
Yeah. And this is where conspiracy theorists kind of drive me crazy.
Okay.
Is, my conclusion is that because we've been lied to about so many things, the earth must also be flat.
Yeah, the baby out with the bathwater, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because when we throw away everything that we have held as fact, what are we left with?
Hmm.
So, yeah, at what point do you? Where do you? And that's where a lot of what we've gone over this evening and in past podcasts is really important. It's like don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because there
Yep.
is an empirical truth. There is
Mhm.
reality. Reality is absolute. It is not subjective. It is objective. And we can ascertain things. We can measure things. We can quantify and verify and validate things.
Yep. Yeah, it's like, don't throw out science because Fauci told us he was science.
Yes.
Also, don't discount all conspiracy theories because, some person that believes that something that's actually pretty verifiably true also believes that the earth is flat. Well, they're an idiot, okay? And if you're watching this and you think the earth is flat, I don't know what to tell you other than you
Got a
can
bridge to
verify
sell you.
this yeah. You can verify this independently, easily on your own. It's not a hard thing to do.
Trigonometry is a thing.
Yeah. I don't think you even need to get into trigonometry. I think you can do this with pretty uh pretty simple deduction and maybe even a little bit of geometry, but
There you go.
it
Yeah.
doesn't take much. So I don't mean to insult anybody, but flat earth isn't a thing.
Nope.
It's not turtles stacked on top of each other either.
All right.
So whatever you've come up with, that's probably not correct.
It's a ball.
Yeah, everything else in the universe is a sphere, but the earth is
Except
flat.
that's right.
Um,
Oh shoot. All right.
I
Is
was
there anything else? Yeah, I like your quote.
Yeah, you wanna read that off for me?
Plurality should not be posited without necessity, which is definitely a more complicated way of saying it.
It is. I think it's good.
It is.
I think maybe the other thing I want to say about Occam's razor is, in troubleshooting, one of the things that I've found is when you have more than one issue and it confounds it,
Yes,
that can really throw you through a loop.
very much so.
And so an Occam's razor becomes very difficult to apply in those circumstances. It may still be valid, but it might be more difficult to get to.
Yeah.
And it's still useful because of the caveat is that the facts fit, or the
Right.
explanation that the facts still fit.
Yeah, and that's why, like, in diagnostics, I tend towards the half split methodology, just because if I have a good input
Mhm.
and I can go halfway through the circuit or through the system, and I can validate that what should be there is there. It doesn't matter if it splits from there and there's multiple things that have failed because there was a errant power spike and blew out multiple, caps and resistors along the way. So it's, showing multiple different weird symptoms. As long
Right.
as I can continue that half split up to the point where I find a failure. Okay, let's replace that. Oh, look, now we have that other failure because it's further down the chain.
Yeah. Now, just so to mince words here,
You're
you
good.
mean isolate a failure,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Isolate.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So if I can start from my input side and work toward the output side, I'm less susceptible to the trying to conflate problems, because I'm not looking at the outputs. I'm looking at the inputs, and the inputs are absolutes, and I can validate and verify that they're there. Whereas if I'm focusing on those outputs, they're not there. So I don't know. I can start fussing with anything on my engine. Not, it's like, oh, well, it's not running. Well, I'll start yanking wires or checking this or that. Well, it's because it's out of
Right.
gas.
Right. Yeah, you don't need to start at the spark plugs, or
Right.
maybe you do. Maybe that makes the most sense. But in most cases, if you're out of gas, fuel, you just go look at your fuel gauge and it says empty and it won't start and it sputters a little.
Right. Yeah.
The simplest
So
solution.
Occam's razor
Yeah.
is like, well, there's probably a fuel issue. It's like,
Right.
maybe your fuel pump died, or that's fine. But you need three things. You got fire. Okay.
Yep.
Well, maybe that fuel thing.
Yep. Exactly. Vic says, "Wow, I thought we were friends. Now you tell me the Earth isn't flat."
I love you, Vic. Oh goodness.
All right.
All right.
Well, I think that kind of wraps up the
Yeah.
10 I had. Of course, like I said, there's a ton more. So if people want to hear another episode on all the various others that didn't quite make it, the second string, or
Right.
actually like the Dunning-Kruger is right up there on the top for me. But if people want to hear like another episode on some of our favorites, let us know.
Yes.
We'll do it.
Hit us up
or
online, comments,
logical
whatever.
fallacies.
I want to do logical fallacies. I think that'll be fun.
Why don't you set that one up? We'll do that one sometime soon.
We can do that.
Awesome. So anyways, that's everything I had. Hopefully it helped people think through things and gives people a little bit new frame of reference for various things that you run into daily. So Jared, you want to tell people where they can find you, what kind of stuff you do?
Absolutely. Okay. So I am Jared Wilson. I run Resilient Living. You can find us at resilientliving.com. Appreciate you too, Vic. You can find my physical shop at the corner of Hodges Ferry Road and Highway 111, halfway between Sparta and Spencer. We sell guns, we sell ammo, we sell knives, we sell camping gear, outdoor gear, body armor. You can just call us the Prepper's Paradise. We've got it all. We've got books, but really what I love doing is just helping you solve problems. And I mean, like whatever problems. I had somebody come in and ask me about a backup camera for their car. I'm like, you know what? I can find you that. I can get that. So I did.
Yeah, cool.
So that's what I do.
That depth of research and the ability to understand how various things work and why they work and why they don't work is awesome as far as a resource for your customers. That's cool. Backup camera. Did you look into any of the solar backup, wireless backup?
What I got.
Okay. What did you think of it?
She didn't like, she didn't want to do a wired system. I'm like, okay, well, I have a solution for that. They have, a little standalone solar panel, with a little battery, and it looks really good. Like it's pretty solid.
Man, shoot me if you've got, I don't know if you have an affiliate link, but if you do, shoot it to me. Cause I've been thinking about that. One, because it would work great for my truck, which is old school, dumb truck, which I love. But two, if I've ever got a trailer on there where I can't see behind me,
you can angle it down so right at your hitch, so you can back right to the.
Well, you can back right to the hitch, which is awesome, but you can put it on your trailer.
Oh yeah.
Right? If you've got like one of those enclosed trailers, just magnet connect it to your trailer, and now you can see behind you.
That'd be sick.
So anyways, I was looking at those thinking those look awesome, but I don't know if they're just Chinesium or.
I'll find out. It'll be in on Thursday.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Let me know. Do a review of it.
Hey, there we go.
All right. So I'm Ryan Steva. I run the Homestead Consultant. If you want more information, you can watch my YouTube channel. I've got tons of DIY stuff there, as well as how to build out your own systems for springs or whatever, solar, whatever you're into. I've probably got some content on it. And otherwise, if you want to get a hold of me, go to the homesteadconsultant.com. You can get all my contact information and harass me via email or text or something if that's your thing.
Nice. All right. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all the things. It really helps us out. And until next Tuesday, 7:00, we will see you later.
Night, everybody.
Night.